I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Magick lesson number 57, How to Succeed in Magic. I had a question, what's the fastest way to be successful in your magical practices? And other than doing ritual, that is what this entire little podcast lesson is going to be about. Growth. Because growth is how you succeed, right? That's success in anything. I need to do a quick shout out of apologies to some of my Etsy shop inquirers, customers. First, to a friend from Australia who was hoping for some Norse incense who messaged me. Like I said, I will let you know if international shipping becomes more reliable. At the moment, a lot of international type trade stuff is a bit of a mess. And honestly, the shop's method of shipping itself may change next year, depending on possible changes with the United States Postal Service itself. But I love that you're interested in the products, and I see you out there, Australia. If it becomes possible for you to buy the shop's stuff, with my knowing that you'll reliably be able to receive it, that international shipping will allow you to receive your items, you will be the first to know. And I also want to apologize for the inconvenience to anyone who was shopping in the online store a couple of days ago. I think it was like 2 or 3 days back when Etsy experienced a glitch, like a site-wide error in their system that was allowing people to buy sold out products from shops. More people are shopping online now than ever, and that's going to be my fairly uninformed guess as to why a technical issue would arise with user surges. Like, there's more users, so maybe they couldn't keep up with it and it created a glitch. I don't know, but there was a glitch. Anyway, they sorted it out and fixed it very quickly. It was some software thing. Etsy is really good overall. Stuff like that nearly never happens. I think there may have been 2 or 3 errors in 4 or 5 years of my operating online shops with them, which is pretty darn good out of thousands and thousands of, happy products purchased accurately, correctly, and quickly, and then sent off to their magical users across the platform. And I promise to start making more of the items that are sold out that you wanted to buy and couldn't, and you thought you had and then had to be returned. Just as soon as I finish this little YouTube podcast for the day, I'll get right on making more stuff. On to the lesson for the day, right? How do I be successful in magic? How do you be successful in anything? Growth. The builder's way. Sometimes known as the development mindset or the growth mentality. It's been referred to, talked about, discussed a million ways by a million people. That lovely and exponential energetic increase brought on by training sometimes, self-alchemy, right? Spiritual alchemy, the use of intentional magic, willed intentional disciplines, any discipline, mastery made manifest. This is a perfect time for this subject. Let's move away from the depletion and lack of ailment mindset that all too many people are focusing on right now, especially in America, worldwide. But it feels to me, living in the United States, that there is a lot of sickness, vulnerability, lack, striving, grasping kind of mentality going on. So how do we find center, middle pillar? Balance again, right? Well, remember your polarity work from previous lessons. All things have poles. So if the majority of minds around you, or if your own mind is polarizing towards lack and constraint thinking, given current surrounding circumstance, there's no better time to practice polarizing from the other end of the spectrum, right? Practice your magi work, right? To swing the pendulum back by placing your intention, your focus, your energetic heavyweight on purpose at the other side of things, by thinking and intending from this, open, appreciative vantage point, where resources plentiful, the vantage point of opportunity, growth, expansion, great good health, vigorous life, vigorous power, and resources aplenty, right? Always flowing. So this is the perfect lesson for today. How to be successful, understand growth, and no better time for growth than when everyone around you is coming from a place of mental constraint. The first thing to comprehend and hone in on with growth, whether it's magical growth, like the question asked, your actual power increasing, resource growth, like financial, food, harvest, relationship upswings, networking growth. Maybe you want to be an influencer, or you're looking to build your online presence or physical audiences for career purposes. Maybe you just really like a lavender plant that you put in the backyard last spring to start pulling its own weight in your garden, right? So there are so many types of growth. Whatever the type of growth you're working with, growth occurs in cycles. And one of the great master keys of awareness is to recognize and ride with those cycles harmonically, rather than just pushing and pulling discordantly. Right? I have another playlist in this channel, in the Lexicult Supply channel, that goes over 7 principles that are very important, and this is really one of them. Grass doesn't grow year round. In winter, it slumbers beneath the snow. It jumps up to flourishing heights, right? Gets tall and green in the warmer months before generating seeds, right? And those seeds disperse and cycles. It doesn't make sense, therefore, if growth moves in cycles, to plant seeds in the snow if they need warmth to thrive. Harmony suggests to us that we plant when it's warm. Same thing is true from the microcosmic to the macrocosmic. Growth both above and below on the physical, mental, spiritual planes. It occurs cyclically. Really recognizing this energetic law and being willing and then able to apply yourself to humbly work in unison with the law rather than against it or blind to it, ignorant to it. That is what allows you to master growth. Mastering growth is what allows you success. All sorts of growth, any sort of growth. So how do you best work with this system harmonically? That's what I'm suggesting you do. So how should you do that? Know that when you start something, the beginning is often slow. So if you're working, say, with ritual magic, ceremonial magics for the first time, and you feel like you're not garnering or gaining a lot of power or progress within that system, the beginning is slow. Just like a seed is slow to push up out of the soil, right, and bear leaves when there's no fruit there yet, maybe even possibly months and months of nothing you can see above the ground, right? There's nothing you can see at all on the surface because the seed is germinating. But that being patient and knowing that not seeing anything yet is part of the process, that is comprehension of how growth works. If you open up a new stock investment, right, a new account, right, in the stock market, you don't double your money overnight. You put money in, you sit and you wait, right? Same thing with a savings account that you want to have accrue interest, maybe in a bank. Maybe there's a little growth at first. A few investments might do conservatively well. Maybe you're a bigger risk taker. Maybe they do a little better or worse and balance out. But then because there has been over time a little bit more gained to then reinvest, that little bit more can be reinvested and can gain more through its next cycle, and then again and again, right? The smallest acorn becomes a massive oak tree, right? Giving a nourishing environment to everything that it surrounds. But also, if you give an acorn the right soil, the right light, the right water, the right amount of carbon, free of disruption. Let's say doesn't happen to be a forest fire that first year when it's, coming out of germination, and there's no major floods or anything. Then it's going to, from this tiny little acorn, turn into a massive tree. It's like a snowball, right? Snowballs are tiny little things, right? Hold them in your hand, maybe throw them at somebody for fun, as long as they're not icy, no one gets hurt, right? Tiny little thing at the beginning. But the snowball effect, right, is that it becomes, if you push it down a hill, an avalanche-causing mass as it begins to accrue gains and continues rolling and gaining exponentially. All of the effort of the actual little snowball, all of the effort that was made by you pushing it down the hill, that was at the beginning. You didn't do anything from that point on, right? The work was done when the snowball was first pushed. Once it starts rolling, it takes on a life of its own. That's the labor, the trial, the work. You can see that it's so slow. In the beginning, it's so small. The tiny acorn becomes the small, slow, spindly sapling, right? The seemingly weak, little tiny, not even yet a tree. But once the crown begins to form, right? Once that trunk gains mass, then branches beget new branches. And those branches seemingly exponentially more acorns, thousands of acorns, from what began so slowly, almost invisibly, and with a great deal of work all at the beginning, as just one. Trust me, this is a principle whose practice all magic users know very well and use willfully. I certainly do. Growth occurs in cycles and starts slow. Knowing that is the key to success. It's one of them. So don't let that fool you as to the potential of what can come later, that something's slow to start. Knowing how growth works will allow you mastery of it. If you have, say, an Instagram account and have a reason to want to build a subscribership on your Instagram, right? That's your goal, your aim. It starts slow and comes in cycles, right? Ask any internet influencer. That's how these things work. Sometimes it's almost unpredictable, but it seems like magic when it happens. Maybe you have a few dozen followers for months, but then that spikes and becomes 100, seemingly overnight, after months of waiting or working or posting. Seemingly from nowhere, there's a flexion point, right? Something happens, something occurs, and your numbers suddenly go up. The start is slow, and it always feels long, or the longest. Entrepreneurs who don't fulfill their potential, who don't become successful entrepreneurs, this is often why. Not comprehending this principle. They just didn't wait quite long enough yet. They just gave up that one moment, that one breath, before they should have. It was the very next idea or very next business they were about to have that would have thrived and surpassed all expectation, that would have fulfilled their wildest aims, but they didn't know the slow start principle of growth, and they didn't stick with it. They were just slightly too impatient. They walked away right before the first little green stem shoved its head above the soil. To them, it looked like nothing was there. So I'll repeat, for all magical practitioners, growth is cyclical and usually starts slow. It doesn't start quickly, and it comes in jumps and spurts, but it also falls back, right? Not every season is a season of harvest. There's also seasons of decay. You have to understand the cyclical nature of growth to comprehend and apply it usefully. And if you can comprehend and apply it usefully, you're going to be successful at whatever it is you want to do. Every celebrity on the planet knows this, right? Work first. Resource accrual comes later. All of the, let's say you're an actor, a stand-up comedian, talk show host, right? All of the auditions, the training, the subway rides, the making ends meet, possibly having to move from state to state or project to project, going to meetings, believing the dream, refusing to be deterred, the hardships, what we call hardships, they aren't really hardships, right? They're what we need to get to success. But that's all at the beginning. It's in the gestation period. Everything has one, a slow incubating start. Babies, seeds, careers, there's always a gestation before birth and then growth. Once you're out of that gestation period, right, out of the hibernation, the slow start, the work before the reward, once you are a celebrity, you're set, right? Hard part's over when it comes to growth. Not that there won't be other lessons and journeys and hard things to learn from and gain experience from, but the acquiring of celebrity itself, that part's done once you're famous. That part's done now. Work was at the beginning and will now continue to reap its own ongoing future rewards with little, if any, effort. Same idea in money. Ask anyone in business. The first dollar, the first $100, the first 1,000, the first million. Ask any multimillionaire. The first million, that's the hardest. After that, snowball effect. Works in the beginning, friend. Growth is slow to start, but quick once it's started. Grind first. Beat the pavement. Money comes later. Plant seeds first. Fruit comes later. Same thing. When that fruit does come, it won't be ripe and ready all year, every year. Also, you have to bear that in mind. There are cycles to everything, right? The fruit and its ripeness, your financial gains and losses, these are things that wax and wane. They move in cycles, right? They burst forth cyclically and then also decay and fall back cyclically. Success depends not on luck, but on patience. Now, sometimes it can feel like that patience was being patient enough for a lucky moment, but that's still patience. It relies on having the self-authority, the internal self-direction, the masterful discipline to stick with it, whatever it is you're doing or trying to get done, and not give up mere seconds before it was about to manifest. And that's very difficult for most people. Attention spans are in majority these days short. The lust for results is high among most. The discord of push and take and grab and force actually disarms otherwise very talented individuals from being able to calmly wait. To just calmly wait that moment more before giving up, right? But they do. They give up and chaotically grab at the next thing. Always off balance, always wondering why it didn't happen. So instead, calm, patience, diligence, balance. This is the way of the initiated. And the information, when applied, that always bears fruit, always results in growth. That growth starts slow. Regimen and rule of the self is key to success. Anyone can apply this knowledge wisely. Every single person listening to this, whether you believe in magic or not, I don't know, you could be an alchemist, a Wiccan, a businessman, it doesn't matter, right? Maybe you're only into the mentalism side of things. Anyone listening to this can apply what I'm saying here to be successful. Anyone can apply this knowledge wisely to create any success they wish, but they have to apply it. Understanding the rule of energy, that growth is cyclical, and there's always a germination period, is access to success of any kind that you're hoping to manifest. And something else to keep in mind, if you are busy focusing on how grateful you are, I've said it many times before, right? Gratefulness is key. If you're focusing on that, for how appreciative you are for everything you have, even as you're aiming for a goal or for another goal, if you're thrilled and appreciative of all around you, every individual, annoying or not, right? Everything, wanted or not, if you're being grateful for all of it, if you're thrilled that you get to inhale another breath, that your heart beats, that you are not alone, that the sun shines or that the rain is pouring, if you're being grateful, if you're appreciating that you have ears to hear, eyes to see, the ability to comprehend, grateful for the energetic influence of other magi and blessings all around you, whether you see them or not, grateful to even have the great idea in your head that hasn't panned out yet, eternally appreciative for the abstraction of ideas, that you can have these amazing things called thoughts to prioritize or create and investigate, grateful that you have the dollar in your pocket in your day, rather than miserable you don't have 100 more. Did you see that? Did you see and feel energetically how quickly that turned, right? How quickly did that change? All that lovely mental energy that was being built by all the gratitude I was repeating just went dark. The second that thought is there, that lack mentality, see, you have to become mindful of how you think, because who you are, what you are, is determined by the quality of your thoughts. So how you think is you. It's how you manifest. And gratitude, if you want to be successful, really is the attitude that lets you stare at a patch of dirt and be rapturously thrilled by it. Thankful that the dirt is there. Joyous in your patience. Willing and able to harmoniously walk in step with the cycles, the tides, the principle of growth, rather than being the person who stares at the dirt for 10 seconds, who only strives and seeks for what they think they have to get or need to get or are going to get, instead of being pleased with what's already there. They're annoyed. There's nothing seemingly there. They're looking for 10 seconds at a patch of dirt. It's useless. It's nothing but useless dirt. And then they go hungrily grumbling off to find nothing but more useless dirt, more dust, which is all they ever find, ever grasping, right? Never opening their hands to receive. The individual with the depolarized mind, who happily smiles at the empty dirt, full of appreciation for it, right? Full of appreciation for the good and bad things. Doesn't matter if the dirt's good or bad. They just like that there's dirt, just because it exists. They're grateful for dirt, thankful for the good and bad times, for the times of cyclical barrenness and the times of fruitfulness. That initiate rides the tides. They know a great secret and are well rewarded. They know that they are themselves as they are, that there are no hard times, only times of lesser or greater lessons, lesser or more experience, simpler or more complex journeys and journey corrections along the path. And with insight, awareness, and harmony, there is so much more gleaming fruit to feast upon in the right season, which is what we call success, instead of uselessly scratching unhappily in the dust. You are already successful. So how to be successful? Realize you are. Begin there, friend, and be grateful. Hone in on the principle of growth. It's a cyclical companion. Success is with you always. It's not an adversary to be snatched at and forced into compliance. You can't take what you already have. Until next time.